Ladies and gentlemen, the Wrestling Fans Podcast Ringside Society proudly presents to you another outstanding episode of 15 Minutes of Fandom. That's right. What we do is we take the spotlight and we put it on one wrestling fan that we feel stands out from the rest. With that being said, I'm your host, that ocean crossing, straight up bossing, flight catching, shot glass snatching. Where's he going next? Nobody knows. Three continents down, three more to go. No cap, straight facts, the worldwide starboy, Remy Blue. But it's not about me. You see, we have a special guest tonight. We have a man who is all about wrestling. He's all about fun, and he's actually a huge CM Punk fan. Everybody, welcome to the show, Jimmy Bebe. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing good. I'm doing awesome, man. I much appreciate you having me here. I've been looking forward to doing this for a minute. So I'm just ready to go, baby.
Awesome, great having you, man. You know, when we first saw you on Twitter, we were like, wait a minute, his name is Jimmy Bebe. That's kind of cool, man. We got to have him on the show because, he has an interesting name, and we got to find out what his story is. Not trying to pry, but you know, we just had to. So thank you for doing this. Really and truly appreciate it. So yeah, man. So tell us, man, like how did you become a fan of professional wrestling?
Hi. So it's been a long journey. I don't remember the year. I just remember the moment. It was
Okay.
it was not Razor, right? It was Macho Man. He was tied up in the ropes, and Jake the Snake was sicking the snake on him.
Oh,
I played with some wrestling toys with my friend, but I didn't really watch wrestling. And then one Saturday morning, I was sitting there watching it with him, and I saw that, and I was like, "Wait a second, that's real. That snake is biting that man. That's not cool. What's going on?" So right then and there, I was like, "I want to see Macho Man beat that man's butt," and that kind of is what drew me into it. Um, and then over the years, just seeing other things, Razor Ramon, the NWO and stuff like that. That's kind of what made me become a fan and get me watching it on like a weekly basis and stuff like that. So Macho Man hooked me, Razor reeled me in.
I'd say I'm convinced like Macho Man is just like the starting point. It's either Macho Man or Hulk Hogan because I
Yeah.
remember when I first started watching, it was actually a year before that. So when you saw that, that was '91. I started watching. Well, shoot, I shouldn't be putting years out there, but I saw it a year before you, and it was my babysitter's husband who had a videotape of Hulk Hogan and Brutus Beefcake versus the Macho King as he was known at the time, Randy Savage, and Zeus
Yeah.
with Sensational Sherry in their corner. And once I saw that match, I was hooked. Like
Yeah.
you couldn't tell me like anything else. I was hooked from that, and um got to learn more about more people like Ultimate Warrior. I was Ultimate Warrior fan. Never was a Hulk Hogan fan, but I respected what he did.
Me
And
I
I,
hated Hulkamania.
yeah, I found out about the Rockers, my first favorite tag team, and then I found out about another guy who to this day I still think should be mentioned as um he should have been WWE World Champion, Tito Santana. That's another hill I'm gonna die on. Another great guy.
Okay.
That's how I started. Man,
It's been a long journey, but I loved every second of it, so I ain't even mad.
so I gotta ask you, man. Did you ever get to meet like Macho Man or, you know, any of the
Unfortunately,
guys that you grew up watching?
so um, again, the Macho Man and Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, those are like the 1-2 as far as like the ones I feel like are the pillars of who brought me into the game. And I never got a chance to meet both of them, and unfortunately, they've passed since. So you know, it won't happen. But Scott Hall, I was pretty close. I was supposed to go see him the year he passed, and he passed, so he wasn't able to make the appearance. So I missed him by just a few months. But that's just the way things go. It's no, it is what it is. I've met a lot recently though. I've made it a point to make sure with the time I have now and just the resources I have, I'm gonna do it all while I can. I'm gonna get out there. I'm gonna meet. So I'm doing that pretty much on a monthly basis. If there's somewhere I can go to meet some wrestlers, there's somewhere I can go to watch some wrestling, I'm on my way there to do it. Indie wrestlers, WWE, AEW, I don't really care. As soon as Impact, TNA comes close, I'll do them too. GCW, all of it. I try to do it all and meet as much as I can because I missed out for so long.
Awesome. That's cool. Yeah, that's a pretty good way of um doing things because the funny thing is like I actually like started like making sure well what I would do like the legends and so on that were there. I'm always like, yeah, let me go ahead and take a picture of them because you never know, life is a funny thing. I never forget I saw superstar Billy Graham there. I'm like, you know what? I should definitely make um I should definitely take advantage of the opportunity and take a picture with him because I'm like former WWF World Champion. I've never taken a picture with one. Well, at that time, I'd never taken a picture with with somebody who's a former champion. So I'm like, let me go ahead and take on superstar Billy Graham. He's a guy. He's been an inspiration to Hulk Hogan and Jesse the Body Ventura.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and do that. I'm glad I did because what happened? A few years later, he passed away.
Yeah.
And another one I regret was Ashley Massaro because I was in Las Vegas and they had a wrestling convention there, and I got to meet like Jordan Grace and who's the other Kiara Hogan.
Okay.
Kiara Hogan, and I got to see Killer Cross, and I remember I saw her and um Ashley Massaro and Crystal Marshall, and I told Ashley Massaro, Ashley, I was rooting for you in the 2005 Diva Search. You were my favorite. And Crystal gave me a look like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Crystal, you're beautiful too." And I ended up taking a picture with Crystal, but I don't know why I didn't take a picture with Ashley. And then lo and behold, next thing you know, a month or two later, Ashley Massaro passes away. So I'm like, geez, I should have, you know, taken that picture, like just said, screw it, I'll do it,
Yeah. Yeah. So, quick question there. You met Killer Cross. Is he the coolest one you've met?
Killer Croc. Oh yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to, I was just wanted to verify because when I met him, I was like, man, this guy is awesome. I love him. I absolutely love him. He's amazing.
So
he's an amazing person to meet.
funny story is how I am, and this is how I've been. My first ever independent wrestling show was with me and my friend Chris Cartwright, who was a member of our team. He was doing camera work for this indie promotion called Future of Wrestling down in Fort Lauderdale. Okay. And he was like, "Yeah, you should come through, check it out." I'm like, "Okay, I will. I'll check it out." And we took the trip there, and he was like, "Okay, when you go there, you just shake hands because we got there when the ring wasn't even set up." He's like, "Just go there, shake hands, don't be a mark. Just be chill, be cool, and that's it." And I did just that, and that's how I move. That's how I've been since from that day up until now. Like I met Killer Cross, and I saw him. I was like, Killer. At the time, he was feuding with Brian Cage. I'm like, "So Killer Cross, I don't think Cage is ready for you." And he's like, "Yeah, I know. I don't think he is either." And we took a picture together, and then there was like a bar right next door. So I'm like, "Yeah, I'm hungry. I'm gonna go get a burger." And lo and behold, Killer Cross comes through the door, and he's like, he's like, "Hey, do you know where the bartender is?" I'm like, "Yeah, he was just here, but he'll be back shortly." And I talked to him like regular, like I didn't disrespect him, but I didn't like pretty much like kiss his butt either. I talked to him with respect, and I was just like, "Yeah, that's it." That's how I'm with a lot of wrestlers, because at the end of the day, they're human. They're human like you and and
big time.
Once you do that, like once you act chill and respectful, a lot will go your way. Like I could tell you a story where I had dinner with an NWA Women's World Champion.
Yes.
So I could tell you that story, and that was because I was just a chill person. So
yeah. Treat them with respect; they treat you back with respect. That's literally how it goes.
Yeah, but
people don't understand that concept.
But enough about me, man. So you're a huge CM. You're a fan of the best in the world, CM Punk, man, Mr. Clobber in Time, Mr. Clobber Personality. And I saw you got to meet him. You got to meet him.
Woo,
You
I
got the
did.
hoodie with the skeletal rib cage and the heart pounding, out of
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
So, what was it like meeting your favorite, man?
So unfortunately, it was kind of like a quick shove them through kind of thing. Um, but the whole story behind it was like they only gave you certain amount of they only sold a certain amount of tickets for the meet and greet, and I had already bought my WWE World ticket like weeks in advance. And then when they said he was on Sunday, I was like, oh, that's the day I bought. That's wow, that's crazy, that's awesome, and I get to be part of the pre-sale. There's no way I don't get this ticket. And then day before, I haven't got my pre-sale code, all that, and then so I'm like getting nervous. And then the day comes, I still haven't got it. I don't know how to get in there for the pre-sale. I'm getting nervous. I'm emailing the people back and forth. They're saying we don't have your email. I'm getting all like, oh man, they better not ruin this for me. This will ruin my entire WrestleMania weekend. And then they sold out, and I was like, oh no. So I hit them back up. I said, hey, you guys don't have the right email. They found out they didn't. I said, I would just like it to be fixed. So they opened it up to allow me to buy one more ticket. So I was like, cool, 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 cool. Because that would have literally ruined the whole weekend. But we get up there and you wait in line. You go up to him. I just literally walked up to him, shook his hand, said, man, you are the effing goat. Like, I thank you so much for everything. He chuckled a little bit, he laughed, gave him a dap, took the picture, and that's all it really was, unfortunately. But he's a big reason. Like, he is a reason I'm watching wrestling today. So just that little interaction was everything to me. Because I could literally thank him for all the things that I have in life that I appreciate and love because of his ability to bring me back into wrestling when I was no longer a wrestling fan. He's a very big deal to me. I know a lot of people say it's cheesy and all that, but I don't care because it's real to me. Like it was a real feeling. He did that for me, so it was really cool to meet him. It was awesome.
It's, it's not cheesy because I mean people go. Let's be honest. People go through stuff in life. People have
Of
problems
course.
that they have to face, and sometimes it's just seeing a person's presence is what like pulls them out of that funk or
Yeah,
gives them that inspiration to keep on going. And with mental health now actually being more acknowledged in this
yeah,
day and age, it helped. Sometimes a little goes a long way. So it's
yeah,
not cheesy that if you're excited to meet your favorite, you're excited. You should have seen me when I met Marty Jannetty.
yeah,
Normally I don't mark out, but that day I was like, man, Marty, you were strong. You were my favorite tag
yeah.
team. And then after y'all, and I was like, you guys, I've only had three favorite tag teams. You guys, the American Males, and Paul London and Brian Kendrick, and you guys are all. I could not contain myself
Hey,
because
I love it.
to 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 see a man I grew up watching, you know, who was one half of a tag team
Yeah,
that I enjoyed seeing. It's crazy. And that one time I just could not like contain myself. I had to get, as soon as I walked through that door, I had to get a picture of Marginetti. So you know people have their favorites, and
yeah,
if
for
when you
sure.
meet them, you never know. Nobody criticized. Nobody look at AJ Lee. AJ Lee
Oh
met
yeah, yeah.
Lita, and she was crying, and then she went on to become one of the best, and then it came full circle. Then well, not full
Roxanne with
circle, but
AJ.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Reciprocated. Yeah, yeah. So me, if you're marking out over things, you're the kind of wrestling fan that I want to be around. That because you got a feeling and you're enjoying yourself, and that's what wrestling is supposed to be. We're supposed to be enjoying ourselves and loving it and appreciating it all. So if you're
yeah,
marking out, I'm your guy. I'm the kind of guy you want to be buddies with because I'll mark out all day with you, man. I love it.
that's cool, man. Thanks for that bit of information, Courtney. I really and truly appreciate it. If you could send me that link, I would greatly appreciate it. But yeah, man. So, but I gotta say, man, like I like your whole aura because you're one of the people like we've had fans and then that do like great things, and then there's you like you got that whole image like, yo, this guy is cool. His name is Jimmy Bay Bay. Like I
Jimmy.
almost nicknamed this episode instead of 15 minutes of fandom, I almost nicknamed it Story Time with Jimmy Bay Bay because I was like, we were gonna hear his story. But so how'd you? So tell me, man, you got the crown, you got the shades, you got Jimmy. Where'd that come from? Like, what's the inspiration? What's the inspiration behind it?
All right, so the Jimmy Bebe thing was just I wanted to come up with a cool Twitter name. I loved Adam Cole. I love the Undisputed Era. NXT Black and Gold is literally my favorite era of professional wrestling, and Adam Cole was my favorite during that time. So I was like, Jimmy Bebe, and then he considered like he says he comes from Panama City, Florida. That's where I reside. So I was like, that's cool. And then the Bebe, it's a nod to Chris Jericho from back in WCW, which was one of my favorites of WCW. So there's a bunch that circles around the whole Bebe part, and that's why I threw it in there. As far as the flashy get up thing goes, I used to write and do podcasts with a site Wrestle Buddy, and we were just starting the podcasting thing, and I was like, what can we do to kind of stand out? What can we do to be different? What can we do to encourage people to start watching? And, I was watching a few podcasts and I was like, man, on commentary, there's people who are kind of characters. And I myself, without the get up, I feel like I'm kind of a character because I'm very like, my excitement isn't a part of the character. It's just who I am. I just really love wrestling. I get very excited about it. I'll jump off the couch. I'll cry, like all that stuff. I love it. So I was like, what if I just got flashy with it? And about the time this happened, Seth Rollins was doing his whole drip God thing. And I like Seth Rollins. I like pretty much everybody, to be fair. But I was like, I could throw on some glasses. I can get some gold chains. I can get some flashy. Because I like looking flashy. So I was like, I have to do that. And then the owner of Wrestle Buddy, me and him talked, and he goes, he loved the idea. He says, yeah, have fun with it. Do with it. So I just started having fun with it. And that's what it is. It's just been fun ever since, honestly. It helps, I guess, attract people, like the energy. It's not just a look, or it's not just the sound, it's the look. They're like, okay, this guy is high energy, and that's kind of the whole idea behind it. I like fun. The short answer, I like fun.
That's awesome. That's great that you actually were able to find yourself and stand out. Tell me you're still doing that podcast again. Because if you're not, you're making a great mistake, mister.
So I don't do the Wrestle Buddy one. I've kind of stepped away from doing the Wrestle Buddy. My Positively Awesome Wrestling one, we've taken a hiatus. Just some things going on, and I had to take a step back, reevaluate some time and all that. We're going to go back sooner or later. It's just now is kind of a break, if you will. So I feel like people do need to take breaks. If
Yeah.
you want it, you need to take breaks, and that's kind of what this is.
Yeah, that happens. Trust me, it happens to me too. Like I sometimes with this podcast, I'm like, I just need a month break, man. You get it's too much. Or even from wrestling itself, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna read the dirt sheets and that's it. I just I gotta take a break somewhere.
That's usually what drives me away from like the Twitter feed is I don't want to see dirt sheet stuff. I hate it so much.
Yeah, I try to tell fans like just because you read stuff doesn't mean you know the actual business, the actual ins and outs of the business,
Yes.
And I've told we've told wrestling fans before, like you don't have to like wrestling doesn't have to be your only hobby. You could do other things outside of wrestling. You can still love wrestling, don't get me wrong. Go to WrestleMania, go to Double or Nothing, support. But it's not a crime. Nobody's gonna look down on you if you have other hobbies.
Yeah.
I'm into traveling. I'm about to go to Tokyo possibly next week.
That's cool. That's cool.
I was just in London. I was just in London this past January. I love traveling. I'm also into photography. I tell people if you have another hobby, that's fine. It's great. When you want to break from wrestling, go to that hobby. It's I always encourage it.
Yeah. So a tip for anybody who goes to the wrestling shows, because I know some people, they go to the wrestling shows and they literally just do the wrestling stuff. Whenever I go, I've gone to the last 4 WrestleManias. We've done SummerSlam. We've done a bunch of different events over the last 4 years. And whenever we book a show, we make a trip out of it, and we do things that surround there as well. We'll make a trip out of it, and like this past year at WrestleMania, I'm into movies, Kevin Smith movies particularly, and we were only like 2 hours away from his hometown where you can go to the gas station, you can do his comic book shop. So we went and did that as well. That way we're not burning ourselves out on wrestling all weekend and we're enjoying other things in life. And I think that allows you to kind of not take wrestling so seriously.
Yeah.
It's a very big, helpful hint that I think people could learn from. Do other
Mr.
things.
Mr. Bebe, you have great taste because I also enjoy the Askew verse.
Thank you so much.
Although Clerks 2 almost made me shed a tear. Come on, Kevin Smith. I'm not supposed to be crying over over one of your movies, man.
You
Like,
watched Clerks 3 then?
Yeah.
You have?
I saw Clerks 3. Yeah.
Okay. You didn't cry at that one?
I almost did.
I bawled like a baby and I've watched it 3 times. But
I
yeah.
was like, man, what's this, man? This ain't supposed to happen, man. I was,
Yeah. That's my other big love. That wrestling and View Askew universe are basically what kept me out of trouble as a kid and allowed me not to go the wrong path.
I have a serious question to ask you. Jay and Silent Bob. Jay no longer needs to ask for $15 from Little Man because he has millions of dollars now. But the one question is, do you think at this juncture it would be great for Silent Bob to find Amy, finally capture Amy? Well, not capture in a sense, but to finally reconnect with Amy.
I'll be honest. I think I like Kevin Smith moving on from the whole View Askew universe.
Okay.
I know that's hard to it's hard to wrap my head around because it's been a big part of my life. But I've seen some of the stuff he does outside of the View Askew universe, and I really love it. I think his movie Red State, it's one of my favorite movies of the past 20 years. I think it was brilliant. I'm a sucker for the movie Tusk, even though a lot of people hated it. I thought it was just absolutely hilarious. I would like him to dive more into that kind of stuff and keep this Jay and Silent Bob stuff in the past. I thought Clerks 3 was a beautiful ending to the whole thing. It started with Clerks, it ends with Clerks, and we saw like their lives. Like, I thought it was cool. But if he could go find some Amy and make it entertaining like he does 99% of the time, I'm all for it. I'm never gonna not go watch a Kevin Smith movie. So
my thing is this: to end it all with Ask Universe, he finally finds Amy. He finds his voice. He's no longer Silent Bob. He finds Amy.
Yeah.
Jay, I guess, either reunites with. I'm not gonna say her last name because it's the F word, and I don't cuss on when I'm on here. But we'll say Boo Boo Kitty Fudge.
Yeah.
Maybe he reunites with her, finds, they start something, or maybe he finds his own love interest. And I think we ended there. That would be kind of like a great ending to the Askew verse. And I would like to ask, I would ask Kevin Smith that, will there ever be a chance Kevin, like Silent Bob, finds Amy? Because that was kind of hard. I felt kind of bad for the man.
That's not a bad idea, honestly. As long as it takes place before Clerks 3. Because I like how Clerks 3 ends and it basically creates a never-ending loop. You could just watch the movies and then you get to the end and then you start over and it's just one big loop. I think that's brilliant. But you brought up the Boo Boo Kitty, and this is a birthday gift from my girl, who's like the best supporter in the world. She's awesome. I love her so much. She got me this necklace and it's engraved BBKF for Boo Boo Kitty. So I had to put it in there. You brought it up, so I had to pull it out and show it off. It was cool.
Yeah, those ASCII Universe was definitely great. Kevin Smith is a very talented man. It's funny how it's been 30 years and they're still around. That's pretty awesome as well.
Since we're on the topic, I'm a total nerd for this stuff, and I don't ever get to geek out with it about anybody. Have you ever met Kevin Smith?
I have not.
You need to go out of your way to do so. I met him last year, and don't meet your heroes. I know it's cliche, but like, go meet your heroes. That's a stupid saying. Like, he literally he will talk to you like he's your best friend. I sat there for 15 minutes talking to him, and he's talking about my life, his life. We're connected. Like, it was Um, Meeting my fiance, the birth of my son, and meeting Kevin Smith. Those are the three biggest highlights of my life because of how awesome he was when I met him. Can't
You know
like
what?
enough.
You know what I'm interested in possibly meeting? Jason Mewes, Jay.
So
I want to know how he is in real life.
So I went and met him too. It wasn't as personal, but I paid for autographs. I was getting my Mallrats DVD or Blu-ray signed by all of them, and so I went to get the picture with him. Usually they have someone there to take a picture. He says, "No, give me your camera," and he takes your phone, and he literally just starts taking pictures with you, doing all the whole Jay stuff, going like, "Ooh, ah, ooh." That was cool in itself because it felt like I met Jay and not Jason Mewes. So he's fun. Kevin Smith is very just like if he had any impact on your life at all, he's going to feel that and he's going to reciprocate it and thank you and talk to you. It's such a cool experience.
All right, so we're gonna bring two universe together. We're gonna bring the ASCII universe together and the wrestling universe, like AEW and WWE. So, what two wrestlers do you think would be like Jay and Silent Bob? And what two wrestlers would be like Dante? And I forgot what his friend's name is. The other one that
Dante
I
Randall.
call I call him Sober Jay because he's like the he cusses, but he's not like always smoke. Oh, Randall, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Randall Moss.
who would you think would be like Jay and Silent Bob? Who do you think would be like Randall and Dante?
So I'm gonna go with Bronson Reed as Silent Bob because if you haven't seen his cosplay, it's amazing. He loves the Views universe as well, and he dresses up as Silent Bob for Halloween. So he automatically gets the Silent Bob treatment.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and say Logan Paul is Jay because he loves to pop off at the mouth. Like, he's really good at it. I think that's a good combination right there. Bronson Reed and Logan Paul for Jay and Silent Bob. For Dante and Randall, man, this is going to be an odd one, but for Dante, I'll go with Roman Reigns, just for the simple fact that when Roman Reigns shows up, he don't want to be there. He's not even supposed to be there. So we'll go with Roman Reigns as Dante, and as Randall, we'll go ahead and pick. Man, I'll go ahead and say John Moxley. They have a good repertoire, and Moxley he's good at popping off the mouth too, and I feel like he has them Randall vibes where he doesn't like people and he's not afraid to let people know. So,
Oh wow. So for my pick for man, so for Dante and Randall. Oh, well, Jay and Silent Bob, I have to go with two actual real friends, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Okay, I don't think Kevin Owens would actually be too silent,
no, he
but I
would.
could just see him be silent. But I could definitely see Sami Zayn just for some reason throwing a bunch of f bombs,
And
and
dancing, doing the whole yeah, for sure.
for Dante and Randall. I know these two guys were real friends at one point, but they're not anymore. Randall would definitely have to be your favorite wrestler, CM Punk. And then Colt Cabana would definitely be Dante. Because
Man,
Colt Cabana said the kind of like he
movie.
would like find out his girlfriend was, partying all over and he wouldn't be able to like do anything. Like he would have a fit about it. And then CM Punk would probably say something sly.
Yeah. Get over it, bro. Yeah, I'd watch that movie for sure. That'd be comedy brilliance.
Yeah, definitely, man. Those are a great set of movies. So wrestling, man. So, you know, you're a huge CM Punk fan, man. Like, what were your thoughts of like, his time in AEW, and what are your thoughts of like him returning to WWE? Because I know that when he returned to AEW, like we saw a fan actually cry when he came back, and
Yeah, that was.
we actually had that fan on our show.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool. That's cool. That's
yeah,
awesome.
we never thought we'd have him on here, but we found him and we actually sent him a shirt and all that great stuff. Um, and like he made his return to AEW, and then that was actually his return to wrestling, and then
Yeah.
left AEW and WWE. What were you like thinking when you saw this man like finally return and
So
everything that happened afterwards?
the coolest thing about wrestling today, and it's a big reason I think so highly of CM Punk. I quit watching wrestling a while. Like after WCW got bought out and Stone Cold retired, I kind of just lost interest. Um, and it wasn't until I saw CM Punk during the Straight Edge Society that I was like, oh, it's kind of the whole Razor Ramon thing again, where I was like, this guy's cool. And so he's what brought me back into it. And the moments I love now more than ever with wrestling is the ones I get to share with my son. Because he watches it, but he doesn't watch it all the time. He just kind of has his favorites and he'll tune in. But naturally, I like CM Punk. So he's like, I like CM Punk. But it was never a thing that I thought I'd be able to get to share with him. So when he returned to AEW, you know, we just sat there in front of the TV like it's about to happen. We knew it was going to happen, and then it happened, and it was just like whoa! It was just a beautiful moment. It was like he's back, and he looked happy, and it was just great. And I loved his run. I know a lot of people kind of crapped on some of it after the fact, but I feel like that was just the hater side of things. I think he did a lot of good work in AEW. I think he gave them their best program with MJF. I think that's what switched flipped the switch in Darby Allin, because I always liked Darby, but it seems like after he got in the ring with CM Punk, he started to kind of slow down and speed up when it mattered more. He kind of learned some things. And just kind of seeing CM Punk wrestle again was like, wow, this is happening. This is kind of crazy. And I wish it could have continued, honestly. But things happen, and I was one of the ones, I didn't want him going back to WWE. I wanted him to stay in AEW. I feel like he has more to do in AEW than WWE. But I'm
I
not
was
going to complain.
yeah, I was happy, but at the same time disappointed because certain things, like for example, I was hoping that okay, you know, he came back, maybe him and Colt Cabana could actually, you know,
Watch things, yeah.
make up back as friends, and then we could see the Second City Saints, you know, reunite. And I even saw they were giving Ace Steel some mic time. So I'm like, awesome, you know, and I was crossing my fingers and everything, but you know, it just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's still able to, you know, do his thing. I'm looking forward. As a matter of fact, this is gonna be my next question. So it's been it's you know, the landscape has changed now, and you got new players, you know, in WWE. Who are you looking forward to seeing CM Punk actually wrestle? You know,
Okay,
once
so
he's cleared
this is a good one,
and ready to
because
go.
we did this on the Positively Awesome thing. I picked 5 for our top 5 list. I picked 5 people just to see if people agreed with me. And one of the people on that list was Drew McIntyre, honestly, like actually, because a lot of people weren't mentioning Drew. And I was like, I think Drew, he's gone and done the things that Cody's done that people always say would make for a good feud with Punk. So I was like, why not Drew? And then Drew kind of hit that stride, and it's kind of proven like, oh yeah, this is definitely one we want to see. Austin Theory was another one that was kind of out of left field, because I just have high hopes for the man. Like I think he has everything. He just hasn't figured out how to package it. And I think CM Punk is the perfect person to help get that out of you. Um, because when he says he's best in the world, is because he's best at everything. It's not just this one thing. Like he can help you pull. He can pull the best out of you, even if it's like hiding deep. But my number one was Sami Zayn, for the simple fact that I think, as far as the in-ring storytelling goes, nobody is a better babyface fighting from underneath wrestler than Sami Zayn. As far as like bell to bell in between the ropes, I don't think anybody can tell a better babyface story than Sami Zayn. And on the flip side of that, I don't think anybody can tell a story in the ring bell to bell from a heel's perspective better than CM Punk. So you have 2 people who I love and adore in wrestling business, and they're both, in my opinion, the best at the opposite ends of the spectrum here. So to get them in the ring together, I think would just be the makings of something special. So those are like the 3 that I'm very looking forward to. 2 of them I think happen. 1 we'll see. I hope. I really hope for the Austin Theory when I do. But we'll see.
Yeah, Awesome Theory. I can see him going very far if they push him. Um, He's one of the guys just got to give time, but I could see him going very far, and he just needs that one match to actually put him over. Granted, he's beaten John Cena, but
It didn't do
um,
anything for him.
it did. Yeah, it didn't like. But when I look back at certain wrestlers, like I said, I've been watching as long as you have, and I look back at certain wrestlers and the match that actually put them over in a sense where it's like, yes, you're ready for the big time. You're gonna be
Yeah,
something. I look at like for example, Triple H versus Sergeant Slaughter. Some people may disagree, but that was the match to me that was like, yes, this man is ready to go. He
yeah,
is ready to lead. Another match for me, although he actually already won the world title, was Edge versus Mick Foley. To me, that match was the one that put Edge like
yeah, yeah,
on
yeah,
top. Like, yes, this guy is ready to lead. You know,
yeah.
um,
Like a lot of people would disagree with you on those things, but I think it's whatever you see, and then when it happens, like, hey, you were right. There's no wrong answer there. Because I said the same thing about Dominic Mysterio, and I honestly don't even remember the match, but I know he was in there with 5 other main event people, and he
yeah,
didn't look out of place. And that was the first time I looked at him and said, okay, this guy could be the guy. I know a lot of people put their eggs in the Braun Breaker basket, the Austin Theory one, Carmelo Hayes. To me, Dominic Mysterio is the next guy because he's already proven that he can stand up. He can be in the center of that ring, whether it's wrestling. People love to see him get his butt kicked. He gets it. He can carry a segment, even though a lot of people would disagree. He doesn't have to say anything, and that's carrying a segment. If he's able to hold the fans in the palm of his hands, he's carrying it. And he knows when to get it going. He knows when to step up and, hey, no, I got to do this. I think he has all the tools. And again, it was the match. I'm sure Seth and Kevin Owens were involved, but it's those kind of things where you do see those things, like you said with Triple H and Sergeant Slaughter. You wouldn't think that, but hey, you saw it and you weren't wrong. So
oh yeah.
that's all that matters, man.
So we might agree to disagree here, but would it be safe to say that Dominic Mysterio is going through what Cody Rhodes is going through right now, where he had that awkward kind of heel phase, but he's doing his job. Like
Okay.
how Cody Rhodes had the whole dashing Cody Rhodes, or he got his face messed up, then he became like, I guess you can call American Psycho Cody
Yeah.
Rhodes.
So
Would it be safe to say that Dominic Mysterio is going through that kind of awkward heel phase right now, where he's there, but he's gonna get there, but he's not there yet. But it's guaranteed.
all right, so you're either going to think I'm absolutely crazy or I'm about to absolutely blow your mind. Um,
Go
I don't
ahead.
think he's going through that phase. I think he's going through a defining phase. And I'm gonna throw a name out there and just follow me along before you go, this man's crazy.
Hey,
Rocky Maivia. When Rocky Maivia showed up, they tried to force him on us, and we booed him. We didn't like him. We hated him. Like he get rid of Rocky, die, all that stuff. It was not good. And he's a third generation guy, so that's kind of why they wanted to push him. Dominic Mysterio is technically a third generation guy. They tried to push him on us as a babyface, and it didn't work. So what did they do with Rocky Maivia? They put him into a heel faction that they knew was going to get people to hate The Rock. What did they do with Dominic Mysterio? They stuck him in a heel faction that they knew people were going to hate him for because they pair him with Rhea Ripley, and everybody loves Rhea Ripley. So they're like, how is this kid who sucks getting Rhea Ripley? And we hate him. The trajectory is pretty similar. Rock's was way quicker, I think, because I'm not saying Dominic Mysterio is The Rock. That'd be blasphemy. The Rock is on another level. But
you're right.
the similarities are there, and I think Dominic's is just taking a little bit longer. And Rock wasn't all that great at wrestling when he started. Dominic wasn't all that great when he started. You got to do things to hide things and mask it. And I think they do a really good job with Dom. And I dare anybody to tell me that Dominic Mysterio is not the most improved wrestler over the last 2 years, because it'd be a lie. And that's why I think right now he's in a defining moment. I think his next step will be the most important of his career. because he has the fan, like he has the fans, whether we hate him or we like him, he has the fans. And that's the most important part in professional wrestling. It's not what you do in between the ring. It's you get the fans in your hand, you've made it. Can he keep
Oh, yeah.
them? That's my only, like, can you do that? And I think he has it in him. Again, I think he's literally going to be the face of WWE, but time will tell. So that's where I'm at with Dom. And again, I'm a big fan too, so I'm going to be biased. But
I like how he has everybody upset and in arms because they're like, you don't have the right to say you're better than Eddie. Why are you cutting your hair like Eddie's? Why are
yeah,
you growing a mustache like Eddie's? And it's like I'm just laughing. I'm like, you people are getting worked up,
yeah,
and I'm just like, he's definitely gonna get there eventually. And I've been telling people that, like, just watch and see. Like, it's only a matter of time until
and when the time comes for them to pull the trigger and make him the babyface, it's going to be huge because we love to hate him. We don't even hate him anymore. It was just a matter of we love to hate him. Like it's just the fun thing to do is like boo this man. So when they're like, nope, it's he's the guy now, people are gonna be like, it's about dang time, and they're gonna love him. He's gonna be over. He's gonna be so over, and I can't wait for it. I honestly can't wait for it.
I always said the same thing about Cody Rhodes. When Cody Rhodes, and it's funny because when Cody Rhodes first started, I was like, you know what? That guy's gonna be the guy. From 2000, summer 2007, I was like, that guy's gonna be the guy. He's gonna go through some rough patches. He's gonna have a heck of a lot of growing pains,
Yeah.
but he's gonna be the guy. And lo and behold, that was 2007. We're in 2000. We're like 17 years later. Took a bit, but
Yeah. Hey,
he's there now.
he took the long way. He still got there. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
He's on top of the world. So
So I just got like two more questions before we shut it down. So my second to last question, you know, what was the moment that you experienced in wrestling that made you go, oh my gosh, it is a great time to be a fan. I love this. I
ooh,
love
just
this
one.
sport of wrestling. Or if you got a
Um,
few, I mean,
I'll go with two. I'll go with an old one. I'll go with a recent one. The recent one is Sami Zayn at Royal Rumble 2023, when he cracked Roman with the chair. It's a moment I'd been waiting for. Like a lot of people knew it was coming, and I got to be there live to experience it, and just feeling the roar of the crowd when it happens. And like Sami Zayn is a guy who I've been kind of like you with Cody in 2007. Since I've seen Sami Zayn, I'm like, this guy has something. They just need to let it loose. And they let it loose with the bloodline stuff, and him cracking Roman kind of solidified him as like a legit main event guy. It led to the Elimination Chamber match, which was another just magical match. So I think that whole month right there with Sami Zayn is one of those times where I was like, man, because I couldn't wait for SmackDown to come on. So it's like, oh, come on, what's going on next? I can't wait. I loved it so much. I got Sammy tattooed on the back of my leg right afterwards too. Like that's how like invested and in love with the whole thing I was. And if we go back, it was Scott Hall showing up on Nitro because I had moved down to Florida and I'd never even heard of WCW, but someone had told me check it out, and I want to say I hadn't heard of it. I just didn't really know WCW was different than WWF. I just thought all wrestling was WWF back in the day. Because I'd seen it, I just didn't pay attention to it. So I started watching WCW, and I see Hulk Hogan. I'm like, this sucks. I don't want to watch Hulk Hogan. I've never been big on Ric Flair, so I'm like seeing all these things. I'm like, if I'm bored, I'll watch it. But if not, I'm just gonna keep watching the other stuff. And then one day, again, Razor Ramon was the guy that kind of reeled me into wrestling. And then he shows up on Nitro, and I'm like, what is this? What is this? And he starts calling himself Scott Hall by his real name. I'm like, what's going on here? This isn't what we're used to seeing. And it was literally a game-changing thing in professional wrestling, and I got to experience it live, and it kind of lit the light bulb up in my head, like, oh, I love this stuff. This is amazing. And I think just witnessing the Scott Hall thing all the way to Bash at the Beach, where I told you earlier I didn't like Hulk Hogan. I love Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
I absolutely love the whole NWO thing. Even the stuff everyone hated, like there's 25 people in it, and it's like that was the point of NWO. They were there to take over. They were a gang. They were supposed to have that kind of clout. But the Bash of the Beach or Scott Hall showing up on Nitro all the way to Bash of the Beach is another one of those moments where I was like, man, this is great. This is that made me want to watch it every week. And then the Sami Zayn stuff reminded me of why I watched it every week. Is like this makes me feel this is why I love it. So those are my two things.
Yeah, the inception of the NWO was definitely shocking, but it was great for business. And it's funny. The kind of wrestling fan I am, although I missed like watching like the first WrestleManias, the first I guess 5 or 6 WrestleManias, and the first how many Starcades. Although I missed those, I watched them back through VHS tapes or I read about them through old wrestling magazines. And it's funny because that was '96 that the NWO
Yeah.
started, and I read about Scott Hall in the magazines, but I didn't know that Scott Hall and Razor Ramon were the same person because of how different they looked.
Yeah.
And I was like, this guy, Scott Hall, in my opinion, Scott Hall should definitely been an actor because he convinced us that he was a Latino from South Florida. And I'm thinking, yeah, I mean, yeah, he's Cuban, he's whatnot. And then all of a sudden, like, I had a coworker who was actually a pro wrestler, and he's like, no, he's white. I'm like, nah, you kidding me, man. Like, Scott Hall is Cuban. Nah, he's a
Go.
white guy. I'm like, okay, wow, he definitely played that part well because he had us convinced about that.
Yeah.
But
I'll go on record as saying Scott Hall is probably the greatest mind for the business that nobody ever gives recognition to. If you've never done it, listen to his old interviews where he breaks things down. It's like I love watching Stone Cold's podcast because he's good at breaking things down. Scott Hall just blows him out of the water with how he's able to kind of explain this, why this happened, and all the other stuff. It helped me understand more of the in-ring psychology stuff. And he's honestly probably one of the most selfless wrestlers of all time as well. He had no problem putting people over. He understood that was part of the business. And the fact that he was able to be as cool as he was, as over as he was, while losing as much as he did, is a testament to how like genius the guy was. And I wish more people gave him that kind of credit.
yeah, definitely, man. R.I.P. Scott Hall, man. We miss you, bro. So my last question, man, before we shut it down, we celebrated 40 years of WrestleMania. WrestleMania is a grown man with a job and probably a wife and kids somewhere. 40 years of WrestleMania, man. Um, Young fan comes up, hey Jimmy, Mr. Bebe, I just started watching, wrestling, and I attended WrestleMania 40, but I missed the first 39. What 5 matches would you recommend that young fan to actually watch
From WrestleMania or in
from any
general?
WrestleMania from 1 to like 39?
Okay. So
Because they
number
start they
one,
saw WrestleMania 40. So
yeah.
yeah.
So number one on that list is Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Um,
Ooh.
that's the greatest wrestling match in the history, in my opinion. I put that like I'll argue till I'm blue in the face on it. I think it's the best match of all time. TLC 2, because I feel like that was a precursor of a lot of what we see today. They were kind of ahead of their time there, and they kind of showed the world like, hey, y'all really like this? Get ready because it's coming, and we get a lot of it now. So that's a big one, TLC 2. Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels. I just recently, like, I knew it was a good match. I always liked it, but I just recently came to realize how good it was. And it really allows you to kind of see everything matters in a match. And I think that's some of what's missing in some of the wrestling today that people kind of don't like. There's a lot of lull periods, and you got to make everything matter. And those guys literally show it to you like better than anybody. I would say go back and watch. Honestly, the number one would be Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39. Because if they just
Okay.
started watching WrestleMania 40, they need to go back and see how it started last year. Uh, Not that it's like one of the best 5 of all time, just because it would be very important for them. And I'm a big believer in you don't just watch wrestling, you got to be invested in the stories. Because once you're invested in the stories, the matches mean more. So they might have loved WrestleMania 40, but if they kind of got some backstory to it, they'd really love WrestleMania 40 then. So that would be, they would have to watch Cody Roman at WrestleMania 39. And then I'd have them watch Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso from WrestleMania 39 as well. Because again, it's beautiful storytelling and it kind of goes in line with the bloodline stuff that they've already been a little bit privy to, and would maybe encourage them to go back and check out some other things because of the Uso connection and the Sami Zayn stuff. So those would be the 5 I told them.
You know, funny, you're gonna think I'm a madman, but a funny theory I had, and I wish my co-host Kathy Knight could have been here, but you know, hopefully we do predictions shows, so hopefully, you know, the plan is to have you and Courtney back on for one of those prediction shows if you guys are up for it, if you're
I'm always
interested.
down for some
But
predictions.
so I told Kathy and I told Rob, our other co-host, I'm like, you know, Kevin Owens has been in WWE for all these years, and so has Sami Zayn. Neither of them have won tag team titles. I said I'm convinced that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, they made a pact. They have a clause in their contracts that if they were the only people that they would win those tag team titles with were each other. And I said they're even wearing black and red as well.
Yeah.
So it's like it's I think that's what they did, and lo and behold, their first tag team championship was with each other. And I was like, yes, that was great storytelling right there.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Um, I definitely enjoyed it. I hope Sammy gets a world title win real soon. At least just one, even if it's just one.
So
That's all I need
I'm
from the.
I'm on the side of Sammy. I don't want him to win one at this point. If he couldn't beat Roman, and it sounds crazy because again, I love Sami Zayn. The list of people who should have won the title but didn't, I feel like is a much more prestigious list at this point than the people who did win it. Because Ray had
Okay.
one title win or one real title win. The other one lasts like a month. It doesn't count. But so like his isn't as meaningful to me as Sami Zayn not winning one because it was like a lot of people have been given the opportunity to win it. How many people should have won it but never did? It's a very, very, very short list. You know, you
Oh
got
yeah.
Roddy Piper, Jake Roberts, Scott Hall, Mr. Perfect,
Ted DiBiase,
yeah,
Ravishing Rick Rude.
yeah, and then Sami Zayn. Like that's how small that list would be. So that's what I would prefer him at this point. But just like at WrestleMania, I didn't want him beating Gunther. If he did, and then I was like, this is the greatest moment of my life. So if he wins a world title, I'm going to celebrate, and it's going to be the greatest day of my life. So I'm not going to be mad if it happens. I just think it would be cool if he didn't.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing him win, even if it's like, oh, winner is the new world champion, Sami Zayn, and then somebody cashes in on him with the money in the bank. Yeah, okay, his name is still in the record books. But yeah, that was those lists of WrestleMania matches were really great. So for those of y'all that are actually those of you new wrestling fans that just joined, you know, us watching wrestling and whatnot, you just got 5 great matches from a veteran here who's been watching as long as I have. Man, you just brought back the Stone Cold Steve Austin sharpshooter with the bloody face back into. I had that memory repressed. You just brought it back out. I was like, wow. But yeah, y'all definitely check out those matches, man. So you know, with that being said, you know, Jimmy, it was an honor having you on here.
Thank you very
You know,
much.
thank you very much. You know, myself and the rest of my Ringside Society crew, we're really grateful. We always enjoy talking to fellow wrestling fans as well. I'm gonna ask you for your info for your social media info in a bit for the
Okay.
masses. But
Gotcha.
before we get to that, you know, so for those of you watching, you know, recently we actually had 2 losses. One of them I just found out about a few days ago, and he was our 15 minutes of Phantom alumni guest, Ray Anvil. You know, cool guy. if you saw this guy, you would have thought that he looked like Jim the Anvil Neidhart, but he was just great at looking like him. Even Natalia Neidhart acknowledged that yes, he reminded her of her dad. And I found out, he passed away in February. So, my thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family and friends. It was an honor having him on the show, and we're definitely sorry to hear that he passed away. The second loss we had was a guy who was an impactful member of the what I call the wrestling media community, which is the community that like podcasters and so on, like myself. And he was actually Trey D, or known to others as Terry Davis. He was the owner of We Love Wrestling, a very impactful podcast that inspired many people. He even inspired me in a way to be more involved with Ringside Society. And unfortunately, we lost him that last week. Our thoughts and prayers go out to him as well. He put us on to had a great eye for talent, put us on to so many great men and women, up and coming talent in professional wrestling. And we definitely lost a great guy, and he will be missed. Our thoughts and prayers go out to his family as well. So with that being said, what we're going to do right now is we're going to give both these men 10 bell salute, and afterwards we will end the show there. Okay, so with that being said, here we go. Thank you guys. We miss you. So with that being said, once again, Jimmy, thank you. It was an honor having you on. We're definitely going to try to have you on, Courtney. Courtney, if you're listening, we're coming for you too, sister. Old Booker T reference there. But we're going to be having you back on it here as well. But before we shut this show down, where can fans find you on social media when they want to talk wrestling, when they want to see your return to the pro wrestling when they see your pro wrestling podcast return? We know you're going to come back. We need you, Jimmy. Where can fans find you at, man?
All right. So on Twitter, it's just Jim. Wait, let me make sure because at one point it was different, but it's just Jimmy Bebe, just like it's written right down below me, just with no spaces. And then for our podcast page, that way if you are interested in seeing what we're doing or looking back at what we used to do, it's at let me get it real quick. The _PAW _cast. So like the PAW cast. Positively Awesome Wrestling. It's all about being positive on it. Like we just like to enjoy it. We like to have fun with it. So if you are interested in that and you want to know when it's coming back, or again, you want to check out the other stuff, it's the _PAW _cast. And then the YouTube channel that it's on is Drip King of Wrestling. Yeah, that's it. You gotta put Drip King of Wrestling though. There's another Drip King out there, and I gotta throw some bows to get that down. But if you put in Drip King of Wrestling, you'll find me, and then you'll find the rest of our stuff. And so those are the socials you need to know about.
Hey, if you guys ever get to wrestling, let me know. I'll promote that. I'll be like, I'll do my little Vince McMahon. Tonight we're gonna have Drip King versus Drip King, and I'll do my little power walk around and whatnot.
He's a lacrosse player, so he's gonna be bringing the whole little thing with him to bust my butt with.
He already has his gimmick, even great.
Yeah, he's got a gimmick already. Yeah.
The podcast. Wow, I saw you guys when I had Courtney on. She was talking to I think his name was Tim.
Tiny.
He has like his name and it has like some numbers after it. Wow, okay, wow, that's you guys.
He was part of the pod. He was one of the 3 members of the podcast. He was the one that kind of came up with the idea for it. He's also a phenomenal fan. like I love talking wrestling with Heidi because he doesn't get involved in all of the drama behind the scenes and all that stuff. He's a phenomenal fan. So
That's
yeah.
awesome. Cool,
Shout out
cool.
to
So,
Tank.
so y'all definitely check out the podcast. You know what I always say? We always encourage y'all to check out the podcast. You know, because guess what? We do it too. We're not going to feel any way if you check them out. You can still support Ringside Society and check them out as well. And I look at it as this way, you know, who likes eating one type of cereal every day?
Yeah.
Sometimes you want some Frosted Flakes. Sometimes you want Fruit Loops. Sometimes you want some Lucky Charms on a Friday. So definitely check out the podcast. Three great guys. And like I said, every podcast is different. Everybody has their own take on it, and it's okay to agree. It's okay to agree to disagree. It's what makes the world go round. So definitely give the podcast a listen. Give them a follow. Three great guys. And with that being said, it's about time for us to shut this show down. My eyelids are getting heavy. My stomach is rumbling. That means it's time for dinner and a nap. Maybe not in that order, but before I partake in those activities, if you want to find me on social media, not that I say a lot of cool things, but I do go to a couple of cool places. I might be in Tokyo next week, might take some pictures, might do some videos. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at the Remy Blue or at Remy Blue on Twitter. I have two accounts. I don't know why, but you can follow me on either one of those. Our podcast. I'm also on Facebook as Remy Blue as well. And our podcast is also on social media. We're on Twitter and Instagram at Ringside Society, Twitch at Ringside Society 2019. We're on Facebook as a Facebook group. We also have a Teespring store where we have official Ringside Society merch, but we're redoing it. So just give us a minute. I promise you, we're gonna have some cool stuff on there that y'all gonna like. And we're also on Spotify, and last but not least, we have a YouTube channel where you can see cool interviews like this one we have with Jimmy Bay, the one we had with Courtney Sawicki last week, our WrestleMania prediction show, our AEW prediction show. All those episodes you can definitely see on YouTube, and to see them, it's really simple. It's not algebra, not calculus, not even rocket science. All you gotta do is go on YouTube, type in Ringside Society. And once you see that really good looking dark blue and light blue yin yang sound with the blue flames around it, that's when you know it's us. So make sure you subscribe to all our videos because we got a lot of cool stuff coming up and you don't want to miss a thing like Aerosmith in 1998. As a matter of fact, since I'm feeling so happy right now, tomorrow at 10 o'clock p.m., which is going to be 7 o'clock p.m. for all my West Coast riders, 9 o'clock p.m. for all my people in the middle, we're going to be having our WWE Backlash prediction show with special guest Giorgio. That's right, our good friend Giorgio from down there in New Orleans, Louisiana. We're going to have him on joining us as well. To give our predictions for the card as well. So make sure y'all, head over, subscribe to our videos, check us out tomorrow. And, we always encourage fan input, fan interaction. So feel free to join us and say who you think is going to win in each of those matches for the card that we run down. And with that being said, we just want to thank everybody tuning in live tonight. Thank you very much. We really and truly appreciate it. We strive on being one of the best wrestling podcasts a wrestling fan could, should, and would listen to. And we're not going to stop doing that. To those y'all that are going to listen later on, you get a chance. Thank you very much in advance. And those y'all that hate us, can't stand us, really and truly wish we go away. Well, like myself at the Golden Corral, we're not going anywhere for a while. With that being said, we just want let everybody know that we're very well and aware that everybody and their grandparents and the parents of a podcast. But we're not your grandparents' podcast. We're not your parents' podcast. As a matter of fact, we're not just any podcast. So with that being said, I'm gonna say it one time for the mind, one time for the people, one time for the wrestling culture, one time for the Ask You universe. Keep on doing your thing, Kevin Smith. And one time for one of the coolest wrestling fans I've seen with the crazy amount of drip, Jimmy Bay. We're the Wrestling Fans Podcast, Ringside Society. And we'll be back tomorrow with another impressive episode. But until then, we just have 4 favors, y'all. Just 4. Stay safe, stay healthy, be excellent to each other, and enjoy wrestling. We out. Peace.